welcome back. We've got another edition of Wouldn't You Like to Know today. Marty, one of the questions we've been getting a lot, and I'm gonna pass to your expertise here, is LLC versus C-Corp.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sure there's pros and cons, like I always say, but what are your thoughts on should companies be LLCs or C-Corps, and if so, maybe why they should be one or the other?
Well, it's funny. Probably full disclosure, what was interesting is when they originally set up Advoco, we were set up as a C Corp, and I never knew why. I'm like, why are we double paying taxes and so forth? And one of the original partners thought it would make them look bigger, make them look cooler. Oh, we're a C Corp, and like you're bigger. And I just was like, well, this is insane because we're getting double tax, so we're making money paying corporate tax, and then we got to pay individual tax. So it never made sense. And finally, when we kind of split that partnership, the first thing we did was we moved from a C to an S, to an LLC, because it just didn't make sense why you pay double taxes. And so I've always kind of been there. I've been a bootstrap guy. So I'll kind of start with that. But I've had this question and people ask me, and I watched, and I've talked to a number of people, and it really kind of boils down to what's your ultimate goal or what you're trying to do. Again, remember, as a C Corp, you have shareholder equity. You pay corporate taxes, but all the equity stays in the company. So if you're going to take on investors, if you want to do certain stock options but not pay out every year, then you want to be a C Corp. And so there are some legal structures that if I'm an investor and I invest in you, I don't really want to pay taxes every year personally. So by keeping it, let the company handle that. That's why you would do it. And then at some point in time, there's either a payout or a liquidation or a sale, then I'm probably moving into capital gains. So if you're taking on investors, if you're taking on money, or if you want to do a whole sort of stock option plan, then you have to be a C. If those are not in the cards, then there's no reason to do it. And again, an LLC basically every year distributes all of its money. Now, doesn't necessarily have to leave the company, but every year, whatever your profits are, your losses get distributed to the shareholders. And if you want to take on other, sort of, let's say stock options, there are ways to do it in an S Corp and an LLC.
Yeah, I was going to point that out, as I know, just because you're in an LLC, if you want to kind of bring some people in and have them get rewards on a liquidity event or something, there's ways to do that through both. You don't necessarily have to do a formal stock option program, correct?
Yeah, you don't. And so I think you have to, again, kind of look at that, but it is a bigger discussion. And if you're not taking on investors and you're not doing that, then to me it's stupid. Because one of the best things that we did, and again, this is as a smaller company under 25 million, one of the things that you're also able to do is go on a cash basis. Because again, it didn't make sense is just because I invoice means now I have to pay taxes on potential revenue. When I moved into a cash basis, I don't have to pay taxes really until I receive the cash. And so to me, tax-wise, it's really the most efficient and way of doing things, and why you want to do it. One other thing, and I want to bring this up because we talk to owners about this, because one of the things when you're a tightly held company, a couple things is if you were an LLC and I then wanted to give you a percent of the company, that means I'm sharing you financials. You're having to be paid out each year. You're getting a K1 and that kind of stuff. But there are ways that you can incentivize employees without putting them on year-end daily. So we talked about earlier in another session is, we can pay based on profits. You can do any way that way. But we did something called a SEPI, or not a SEPI, we called it a SARs agreement, stock appreciation rights, whereas we took our leadership team and what we said was, we want you to share in any upside of the company if it's sold. And in essence, they call it phantom stock, but basically it's a letter to the employee that says, if you're employed, if you do this, and you can set whatever criteria you want, that in the event that we have a liquidity event, this is how you can get compensated. And so there are ways of doing these things that are easy for a small company to do, low overhead, not a lot of lawyer interaction, not a lot of regulation. And so to me, if you want to be able to do something like that, C Corp doesn't actually give you any advantage.
Good. So there you have it, LLC versus C Corp. A lot of questions to ask, and if you want to have a conversation with us, we can definitely help walk you through what might make sense for you. So Marty, thanks for that, and that's another edition of Wouldn't You Like to Know?